I really enjoy that moment that you create mystery.
Hi, hello, and hi again. Welcome back to the Wild Business Growth Podcast, presented by HippoDirect. This is your place to hear from an entrepreneur or innovator every single Wednesday morning who's unleashing creativity to grow their business. I'm your host, Max Brandstetter, digital marketing dude at HippoDirect. You can shoot me an email at max@hippodirect.com if you have any questions on starting a podcast or need help with digital marketing. This is episode 25, and to celebrate, we have something really special for you guys. This is our first interview with multiple guests. It is the dynamic British duo of Rob and Kennedy from ResponseSuite. They founded ResponseSuite, so they know a thing or two about marketing and growing your business. They also happen to have some interesting additional careers. Rob is a hypnotist, and Kennedy is a mind reader. It made for quite the interview. Stay tuned at the end of the episode for a really cool deal they put together for you for ResponseSuite. You can get there at responsesuitedeal.com/wild. Prepare to have your mind blown, your mind read, and maybe even get hypnotized. Enjoy the show. Alrighty, we are here with Rob and Kennedy from across the pond, the most exciting and interesting marketers you will ever meet, the best marketers in the world described by themselves. How are you guys doing today?
I don't remember writing that. Grace, did you write that?
Slightly worried now.
That's quite aggrandizing.
I think you've got the wrong Rob and Kennedy.
Oh, that's right. Oh, this is the wrong Rob and Kennedy. My mistake.
If you'd said best hairstyles in the world,
that would have been wrong
then
as well.
That would have been the one for us.
There you go. Well, I was reserving that for myself, but I guess you guys can take the cake on that one. But for anybody that's not familiar with Rob and Kennedy, you have to check them out, and you really have to check out their hairstyles. But they are doing some really cool things with ResponseSuite and email marketing, and they dabble a little bit in the hypnotism and mind reading worlds, which is just mind blowing in itself. So that's really fun. We'll have a lot of really cool things to talk about today. Rob and Kennedy, for anybody that's not familiar with you yet, can you guys each take a little bit of time to introduce yourself, a little bit of your background, what you do, and how you got to where you are today? So we'll start with you, Rob.
Yeah, cool. So, hi, I'm Rob, one half. I'm the better looking half, just so you know. Basically, the way this works is...
You make us sound like a right couple when you say that. We've got these images now of us sitting on the sofa watching terrible 80s reruns on Gold.
So, basically, when I was at school, I'll give you the brief version. When I was at school as a kid, I got interested in magic, started learning magic, became really interested in it. And I knew I didn't want to have a job. I knew I wanted to leave school and be an entertainer. And I took magic really seriously as you can take showing people card tricks. And that was what I was going to do with my life. While I was in school, I discovered hypnosis, like a sort of allied art of magic, and decided I wanted to learn it. And so I did. I saw a hypnotist. My dad paid that hypnotist to teach me how to do it. I studied it for a couple of years between the age of like 14, 16. And then when I was 16, I was going to stay on at school for another couple of years and do my last set of exams. While I was doing that, I also started going out and performing hypnosis. That was a lot of fun. Spent a couple of years doing it. I did quite well out of it early on. Like I had lots of gigs, and I got to go and spend summer seasons in Greece entertaining drunken British tourists who were in
No way.
reveling and enjoying their holidays, binge drinking and watching hypnosis shows and getting sunburned. And it's the three things we're best at. And basically, I did that. Now, what that meant was I had lots of time while I was there to sit around and do nothing. And most of my friends who worked out there were like bar staff and that kind of thing, or standing outside bars pestering people to come in with
They had jobs.
free shots. So basically that meant they were working like probably 8 hours for every 2 hours that I had to work. So I had lots of time to just sit around and on my own. So whilst I was there, I was kind of just, I've always been like a bit of a computer nerd. I like computers, not in a tech sense. I don't know anything technical, but I like playing with computers, and that's what my kind of hobby was. So I remember coming across this idea of creating and selling stuff on the internet. And that seemed like a good idea. It seemed like I could build a business that would be bigger than me. It felt like I could build something that would create money when I wasn't performing. And I was also very aware that whilst I was doing okay out in Greece, when I came home, I had no clients left because I'd let them all go when I went abroad. So I was kind of ready to move home. I was in my early 20s, and I was like 2021, and I was ready to move home. So I started this online business thing, failed miserably for a good few years. Eventually made it work, grew an online information product business, selling a whole bunch of stuff, teaching people hypnosis, personal development, a whole bunch of different things, and really enjoyed it, just creating and selling information products. I was that infopreneur, if you like, creating and selling stuff to do with what I was interested in.
Right. Yeah, you got to get the buzzwords in there.
Yeah, exactly. So that meant I had a bunch of time performing and having a great time traveling with my show. But when I wasn't doing that, I had this other cool business that I could run that would make me money regardless of whether I was performing or not. So that's kind of how I got to where I am now. Maybe we'll talk about ResponseSuite in a minute. Kennedy, do you want to take over?
Sure. I mean, my story is not that dissimilar, really. I mean, I started performing some mental sort of material to impress girls when I was at school and high school and stuff like that. And then
that didn't work, so you started a business.
Right. Hey, you got to try it. Throw it in the air.
Well, exactly. You know what girls really will love is you to read their minds. Don't try it, children. Get a real job. So I started doing that, and then as I went to sort of university and stuff like that, I started doing shows and started getting paid quite nicely to work for corporations, doing after dinner speaking and doing after dinner entertainment as a mind reader, combining the skills of psychology, influencing people, understanding human behavior, using statistics, all packed together, which allow you to make it look like you read people's minds. So I started doing that, and that was 16 years ago now, nearly 17 years ago. And when I was doing that, I was pretty busy. I was doing like 3 shows a week, which is what I wanted to be doing. Sometimes 4 shows a week, which is not what I wanted to be doing. Sacrificing my life for it. But realized again, I was spending a lot of time on trains and planes, flying to different places, and a lot of time in departure lounges waiting around. And I used to get a lot of emails, a lot of messages on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that from other entertainers saying, you seem to be really busy. How are you getting your gigs? Or how much would you charge for this? Or how would you do that? So I then put together a coaching program, which turned into an automated coaching program, which then turned into what I have now, which is a membership program for other entertainers who are magicians and mentalists and jugglers and musicians and all kinds of entertainers globally, from Australia to America, Canada, UK, all over the world, where I help them to build businesses because they're not business people, how to get the gigs, how to convert the gigs, and how to build businesses like that. So again, so that's the information side of it, because it means that every time I'm traveling, I'm actually doing something which I'm growing something bigger than myself, because the time that Rob spends on stage, the time I spend on stage, that's a certain amount of finite time. That's the amount of time that we're exchanging time for money. Whereas if you do something that's scalable, as we all know, where it doesn't matter how many members I have in my membership program, I still have to write my newsletter every month. So I may as well have 1,000 members as I might as well have 20 members.
Wow. Holy cow. I think the good news is, Kennedy, after this podcast, we'll probably find you a girlfriend. So that's the first part.
He has one now, just in case anyone's concerned.
Yes, okay. Don't be concerned. I've fixed that. I found one who's short-sighted enough to like me more than just my mind reading.
That's great. That's what we all strive for. But let's get into the business side of things for a little bit, and then we'll dive into the other things that you guys are into. So let's talk about ResponseSuite first. How was the baby of ResponseSuite conceived?
So this works really nicely, actually, because now you kind of know where we were. So we were both in our own independent place. Again, we've been mates forever. And we had this business that was doing a nice income. Like we're both very happy with it. And we both had a mailing list in our respective niches as well. So I wanted to create a product to sell to my list. And I didn't know what to create. I had a bunch of different ideas, but I wasn't really sure. So I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to run a survey. And I'm going to run a survey to ask people what they want. I'll give them a few options. They can pick one. And then whichever one's most popular, I'll do that.
That's a really good technique.
Which is what lots of
people
do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing is, I realized that the moment somebody fills in my survey, I have the opportunity to sell them something. So when they go to the thank you page, I might as well make a special offer for something I already have. So that means the survey is going to serve 2 purposes. It's going to gather data for the next thing I'm going to create, and it's going to sell them something I already have, maybe offer a discount or something as like a thank you for taking the survey deal.
Now, the great thing, psychologically speaking, is if you hide an offer behind a survey, people are in a different mindset completely when you present that offer. Because when someone goes to a survey, they're in a mindset of generosity, giving, and contribution, rather than in that resistance mindset where they're waiting to be sold and figure out a reason to not buy.
Now, further beyond that, the people who don't fill out the survey because they're not interested for whatever reason, they never see the pitch, which means that your sort of goodwill with them has never been diminished because they didn't see it. They just saw the survey they didn't want to take and move on. So I signed up with a survey platform and created a survey, and that was all good. There we go. And I was ready to go. And then I put together a little page where I sold them this thing. And I couldn't find the bit where I could set up the thank you page redirect. So I was digging around for ages. And I realized it's because I had a free account with this survey thing. And of course you can't do that. So I went and started paying them some money, signed up for the monthly thing. And next thing I know, still can't find out where you set the thank you page. Oh, this is weird.
Were you just being thick?
Yeah, no, so I went back to the pricing page, and I realized I was being thick, but for good reason. I had signed up to start paying them money, and I didn't realize that you can't set your own custom thank you page until the next package up. So I thought, okay, I'll upgrade. So I went to upgrade until I realized the second package up, you can only pay annually, and it was £700, so like $1,000 per year. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I don't even know this is going to work. So I thought, well, I've got no choice. I'll just have to do it. So I signed up, started paying it. So I'm now like £700 more invested into this than I planned to be. And there we go. So I'm going to do this little experiment. Now I ran into the biggest problem of all. Obviously, as we know, when you send out an email, most of the people don't respond the first time around. So I wanted to send out the survey several times in a row. The problem is I can't exclude the people who filled out the survey the first time or the second time or the third time or the fourth time or the ninth time or the 1,000th time.
Right.
Because I don't know who they are. There was no way of integrating the survey platform with what I was using at the time, which was Aweber. So I'm now stuck. So I called Kennedy. I was like, dude, have you come across this problem before? He said, actually, yes, but for a completely different reason, which we now can't remember what it was.
I have no idea what it was.
But at the time, this is like...
We'll brush over it.
I was drinking heavily at the time. Yeah. Some women, I mean, I have no idea. You didn't have boobs. I haven't got a clue.
Well, I didn't at the time. So we literally couldn't work out
how things are shit.
We literally couldn't work out. So you speak for yourself. We literally couldn't work out how we could make this happen. So in the end, I just had to crack on. Now, fortunately, the campaign did work. I was happy with it, and it did work. So this was cool. And I thought this is a thing I'd like to do more often. So I decided this would be cool to automate. In other words, whenever somebody comes into your business, you would be able to send them into a little email sequence where you send them a survey. You ask them what they're looking for. And the moment they fill out the survey, two things happen. First of all, you take them out of the sequence that sends them the survey. Mm-hmm. And then you put them into a sequence of some description. So I thought this would be really, really cool. So we brainstormed back and forth for ages and decided that actually the perfect way to use a survey to get data, absolutely. But actually, more importantly than that, to use it as a really smart, intelligent piece of marketing would be to integrate it with your email marketing system. So for example, if somebody fills out a survey, you can put them onto a list to say, oh, that person filled out the survey, and then Bob's your uncle. You can do loads of cool things.
How do you know my uncle's name?
The thing is, like, for a lot of people, a survey is like the cul-de-sac of marketing, isn't it? It's like you've sold them the thing, and then you say, hey, what did you think of that thing? Do you think it was great, or do you think it was terrible? And then basically survey data, those CSV files, are where interesting and useful marketing goes to rot and die. Whereas reality, what you could do is you could move, instead of the survey being the end of your marketing process, it could actually be the center. So that everything you're doing right now that leads to the survey is like the first half of your campaign. Then you find out how you did, and you find out, well, what do you need help with next? What's your next challenge going to be? And then after that, you present the perfect offer to people every single time individually.
So we realized that this required two core functions. First of all, was if you're going to put people onto a list, why don't you set it so you can change that list depending on what people say in answer to a question or multiple questions? So now somebody fills out the survey, and then that would put them onto a different list, which means you could put them into a different, and when I say list, I mean, this is 6 years ago. You could put them into a different list. You could put them into a different sequence of SMS messages, put them into different Facebook audiences. Like nowadays, we figure, well, you do anything. So back in the day, though, it was 6 years ago, it was just, we'll put them on a list. We'll send them a carrier pigeon, depending on what they said.
Hey, we love lists too, so.
So that was the first bit. The second bit was, wouldn't it be cool if you could have them go to a different thank you page depending on what they said? In other words, if you're going to sell them something straight away, sell them something that they've just asked for. Or if you've got like a membership program or a coaching program, sell them it and use the copy that you write, have that come from the angle related to what they've just said their biggest obstacle.
So you're selling the same thing, but you're changing the angle to appeal most directly to them.
Right. All of this was an absolute fantasy, a dream. It didn't exist. We didn't know how to make it
It was
exist.
basically the shopping list of what the hell we were looking for. We're like, can we find the solution that does this?
Yeah. So we set up all this criteria and we went around and looked for it and it just didn't exist. So we just had to get on with it. We know neither of us know anything. We don't know our forward slashes from our semicolon. So we just had to crack on and keep doing what we were doing and make do, I suppose. And it was better than not doing it, but it certainly wasn't what we wanted it to be. So a few years go by, we both built our businesses and we just reached a point where the more I sat back and I was running this campaign, the more, because it's loads of manual labor, downloading CSV files every day, uploading them into different autoresponders. Like it's unmanageable, it really. So
people slip through the cracks as well. Not only is it a laborious task, but like people do slip through because if somebody pops in just the moment you're downloading the CSV, they're on the same day.
All really
it's a mess.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's always changing. Yeah.
We reached a point where we were like, we need to do this, actually partially because we want it. And the problem is the cost of having it done for us, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's just not viable. So we'd have to make it as a product that can be sold. So we sort of put together an absolute like minimum viable version of the product that we could just test. So we got a developer, had the basic version of the thing we could just play with and test it and see, does this concept work? And the results were like unbelievable. It was like, this is better than we thought it was. It's better than doing it manually. It just works better. So we thought, right, let's go in full throttle. We already had a nice office that we share, that we ran our independent businesses from. So we hired our first developer and we built the software from scratch. We spec'd it all out. We did everything and built this platform, and now we use it, and it's really cool. So it's absolutely, in terms of where it came from, it's absolutely built out of a necessity for people to be able to use surveys as part of an intelligent marketing campaign, rather than just to collect customer feedback, which of course has taken us to other things. For example, if you are a business that collects customer feedback about your product, so somebody buys something and you run somebody into a survey to sell them that thing, you run them into a survey to get their customer feedback on that thing. The moment they filled out the survey, if they said it was crap, like here's what happens right now. When people send out a customer feedback survey, a bunch of people say their product was good, a bunch of people say it was okay, and maybe some people say it was rubbish. And then that data just, again, sits in the CSV file until somebody decides to look at it and do something about it. Whereas with a system like this, 3 minutes after somebody says your product was rubbish, you can send them an email saying, oh, I'm really sorry you thought it was rubbish. Here's some customer service, whatever that looks like, and then deal with it. Or if they say it was great, you say, great, what do you need help with right now? And whatever the answer to that question is, sell them that thing.
You can ask them for a testimonial.
So that's where we are right now, where it came from.
Wow, cool. Well, it sounds like you're up to a couple of things, but it is awesome that you guys were kind of both in your own separate worlds and then called up each other and said, hey, he's got really cool hair too. Maybe we should combine and do some business together.
That's it.
I want to talk about email marketing, and I'm not knocking it. I mean, we love email marketing as well. We're obsessed with lists. So, who isn't? But there's so many different mediums out there, so many different ways to reach the consumer in this day and age. What is it about email that you guys like so much and made such a big, important part of your business?
It's always been the thing that's got the biggest return on investment for me. It's the thing that has them, and that's time investment as much as more than money investment, I guess. I suppose for me, it's the thing that gets you, in my experience, the most direct, noticeable, and trackable return. So, for example, all the other things we do, like building funnels, creating sales processes, writing copy, running ads, all that stuff, a lot of the time you'll put a lot of the work in and then you'll sort of see the results coming in over time. For me, when you create that thing and you just log in and you send an email, it's actually the email that's doing all of it's a lot of the heavy lifting and gets you that instant return. So for me, actually, I just think it's the thing I've been most successful with, and I actually really enjoy it. I think we live in a world where, yes, people's inboxes are more full than ever. And that means the way that we do email marketing has to change. Absolutely. Most people are still doing it wrong, just sort of blanket marketing, blasting the same message out to everybody on their list. That all has to change. But if it's done in the right way, I think it's still the most powerful way that people like to receive communication from you. I know when I fill out a thing, for any business, and it says, would you like to receive communications via snail mail or email or text message? Email's the only one that I want to receive that communication via.
Yeah. For me, it's slightly different. And that I think we live in a world where there are lots of different media through which we can receive communication. We can get these text message, SMS message. We can get Facebook Messenger and bots and stuff like that. And we should be building our following on Instagram and Twitter. We have all that stuff. But the problem is, if you're paying to build an audience, build a following on any of these platforms, you don't own any of that data. None of it. Like if Facebook closed you down tomorrow, your audience inside Facebook, You can't do anything with that. If Twitter pull the plug, goes away, and I hope it doesn't, but if that happens,
knock on wood,
right? But I don't own any of that data. But when you're on my list, I own the data. I've got it. I can now plug that into Facebook and do custom audiences. I can plug that into things. That's the own data that you have as your property. As long as, of course, you need to be doing it in a smart, in a really modern way, which is legal and all that sort of, needs to be cleansed. All that good stuff.
Right.
You own the data, and that's the critical thing. And you can track it probably way better than anything else. We all know that no matter how good Google Analytics and the Facebook algorithm and the stats that we get in our Facebook Ads Manager are, we know those numbers are sometimes out. They might be out by a little, they might be out by a lot, but we know that the tracking stats that we get for our emails, we know how many people are on our list because that's how many people are on our list.
You can see the emails.
We can see the email addresses.
Right.
So it's the most trackable. It's the most direct. You are making a timely message. And not only that, you can send timely messages right now, like a broadcast, like a campaign message right now, or you can put it into triggered, automated sequences. So for me, the fact that it's your owned data that you then have flexibility and you can go to different platforms with, that's critical. Because like if I fell out with, right now, we use Infusionsoft for one of our businesses. So if I, for whatever reason, had a blazing row with Infusionsoft and decide, well, I hate that color purple now. It's a terrible color purple. I need something that's much more blue. I'm going to go to Aweber. Excellent. So I go to Aweber. I can do that. I can export and import my data. Imagine doing that between Twitter and Facebook. It's just impossible. You can't do anything with it. You can't change approach. There's no flexibility.
I think the other thing for me is that email is absolutely, because there's a bunch of people, right, who say, oh, email's dying, email doesn't work anymore. But actually, the truth of the matter is email's the only thing that's really stood the test of time. Because if you think about it, if online marketing was the way it is now, like 10 years ago, then people would have been running MySpace ads. I don't know if that was a thing, maybe it was, but people would have been, but now look at what's happened to MySpace. Like, it still exists. I saw it the other day, but it's totally different. It's like a music thing now, right?
Yeah, I go on there all the time.
So now Facebook is a thing. Now, of course, do we think Facebook's going to go anywhere? Probably not, but you never know, do you? It's like this thing.
Never know, yeah.
Look at text message marketing, for example. That's becoming actually harder to do because more things are starting to push over towards WhatsApp. So what's happened is loads of businesses like Netflix will send you notifications on WhatsApp now if you let them. So basically businesses have had to go, what? People don't look at text messages anymore? Oh, crap. Right, let's how does WhatsApp work? Right, let's make that work. Whereas email just hasn't changed. It's got better, but it hasn't changed. And it has nowhere to pivot. So for me, email is like it's a message in a bottle platform that has always existed. It has always been what it is. It's got better, but it's never had to like pivot in a hurry because nobody owns it. It's just a thing.
The only place that hasn't got better, of course, is people are seeing, of course, that reduction and that lowering of open rates and click-through rates. And that's because, honestly, like a lot of people have said it, but marketers break everything. We do. Like, we find little tricks and we go, oh, this is a great little trick. We're going to do this and we're going to make bajillions of dollars and it's going to be great. Like, but the thing is, as soon as we do that, we break stuff. So what allows us to do? I lost my train of thought completely.
So basically, marketers have broken.
You broke the thought.
And it's becoming effective if they do it wrong.
So, and the reason that I found my train of thought again, here we are, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. We're back, bang, you're back in the room. It's like Rob hypnotized me. It was very strange. The reason that it's become broken is because we're getting used to this select all, send to all, which is we basically go, oh, what are we going to promote? We'll promote this thing, or we'll promote our product from this angle. And we send that angle or that promotion to everybody on the list. And that's called blanket marketing. That's just throwing enough spaghetti at the fridge door and seeing which bits of it stick. Whereas in actual fact, we can't work that way anymore. If you look at your email marketing, you're just continuously sending to all. Well, think about, do people really consume information like that anymore? When was the last time you went somewhere with your friends and say, I mean, my dad did it at the weekend because my dad's like 76 years old. He came around, he's having dinner with us. He said, oh, did you watch that thing on the TV last night? I'm like, no. Whatever you're about to say, the answer is no, because I don't consume television on their time frame. On this, say, oh, at 8 p.m. on this night, then Orange is the New Black's going to be on. I don't know when that's going to be on. I know that when I want to watch it, it's on Netflix and I press the button.
Right, when you want it.
When I want it, in my time frame, on my agenda. So basically, we've almost like you remember that when we were kids, I don't know if you read any of these, but Max, but did you have any of those choose your own adventure stories where it was like you flick through and you go, and if you think the guy turned left down the left path, turn to page 72. And if you think he turned right down the right path, he turned to page 105.
Yeah, it was Goosebumps. Now Black Mirror took it over.
Yeah, I mean, a fellow Goosebump, R.L. Stein, my hero, flipping amazing. And it was absolutely amazing. And that's how people consume content right now. It's about choice. And so now if you're hitting people over the head with the same message, that doesn't work. It doesn't have parallels with anything else in terms of the behavior of how people in our markets, human beings, actually consume information anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with what you said there. I've always found it fascinating how these different mediums evolve over time. And like you said, email has some serious staying power. And yes, it's changed over the years, but it's still very effective. And we talk about the same sort of things with direct mail. Yes, it's decreased in popularity, but because of that, there's less clutter in your mailbox. So you're much more likely to notice something in your mailbox. So it's really fascinating how these things change over the years. In terms of the owning of the data, that I think that's a crucial point. It is such a powerful thing when you have your own email list there. And now these other platforms like Facebook, for example, are so much better with working with your own data, meaning you can now create these custom audiences and you can set up a Facebook pixel on your website and retarget people that visited your website. So it's really cool how things kind of evolve and can work together over the years.
And it's all well and good, it's like, it's great collecting all that data on the Facebook pixel, but like, can you see that data? No, you don't own that data. So it's really challenging.
It's
and
different.
It's the same with the direct mail stuff that you're talking about there. Like, you own that data, so you can segment those people and use that information how you will.
Can you imagine getting a 100% open rate on your next marketing message? Well, you can with extra large postcards that are impossible to ignore. Hippo Direct can help you find the perfect list of proven direct mail responders. We can even help lay out and design the postcard for you. Check us out at hippodirect.com.
Okay, I want to pivot to a little bit of hypnotism in mind reading, because why not?
Oh,
Rob, you are a hypnotist, and that scares me because you are probably compelling me to ask these questions without me even knowing. Kennedy, you're a mind reader, which scares me equally as well. Because you can tell the questions. You can tell what questions I'm asking before they're coming.
Are you about to ask about hypnotism and mind reading?
How did you know? Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So let's talk about animals for a sec. No, I'm just kidding. Rob, let's start with you. Hypnotism. You kind of gave the origin story there, which is really cool and kind of involves your family and your upbringing there. What do you like most about hypnotism these days and when you're on stage and scaring people to death?
I actually really enjoy it because I think hypnosis is a thing that is actually, truthfully, I'll hold my hands up, sort of on the tacky end of the entertainment industry. It's certainly in the UK. Actually, when I've spent a lot of time in the US, and it's very different over there, but over here, certainly in the UK, it's sort of on the tacky sort of. We have this thing like the end of the pier shows. It's when you go to the seaside in the 30s and you would go and see a show. It's very much that form of entertainment. It sort of died out.
And what Rob decided to do to make it more classy is dye his hair bright red.
Exactly. It's sort of,
which is beautiful, by the way.
It sort of died out a long time, like quite a while before I got into it. Like the people who were doing it on the telly, like Paul McKenna, who of course is now globally famous for his hypnotherapy stuff, but at the time was just a stage hypnotist performing stage hypnosis shows. His TV show was dying out before I had finished. Sorry, dying out. It had finished before I even really started performing. So it died out before I got interested in it. Right? It was no longer cool before I.
Oh, at least you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I waited. It was no longer cool. So when I started up again, it sort of filtered off, I guess, in this country, and I just wanted to bring it back. So I actually think that now there's a real, resurgence, I guess, in mystery entertainment specifically. So all of that stuff, and I think that there's not that many people doing it in the UK, which I really like. I've started putting my show back into theatres now, so performing a big theatre show here in the UK.
Are you the only one doing it?
I think there's probably a couple of other people do a couple of theatre shows a year.
But nobody does an actual tour.
Nobody's touring like I do. So it's a perfect balance for me. Like I can spend 3 months of the year touring and then just spend the rest of the time in this lovely office with these fine people running ResponseSuite and my other business. I love being able to bring that side of entertainment back to the fore.
Yes. And when you think about your time hypnotizing people, are there any moments, is there like a most memorable moment that stands out of something that was just utterly ridiculous?
Well, on the last tour, we did the opening night in the southwest of England, and Kennedy actually came with me, and we did the opening night. Went on stage, a brand new show, and that's always a nerve-wracking night when you write a brand new show and you've never put it in front of an audience before.
Right.
So we got this audience of paying audience members, went out on stage, did the show. My show's sort of quite offensive. It's meant to be quite of an adult nature. It's got some naughty words in it, some colourful language. And I did the show and came off.
He says blimey a lot.
Oh, no.
And I came off stage and that was fine. And we loaded up the van and we jumped in the van and we drive off to the next venue, which was the hotel, which is like an hour and a half on the way to the next venue. And we were sat around in the next theater the following day just waiting for things to happen. I glanced down at my phone and we'd had an email from the venue manager, the theater manager from the first night, basically saying, listen, I'm not taking this particularly seriously. I think this is wrong. But there was somebody who complained about the show because you did something awful, in her opinion, which was a sort of a sexual routine. And that's all I'll say. And and somebody had complained about it. And we sort of had this big, long debate and said, well, should we take it out? And we thought, well, no, do you know what? That's what the show is advertised to be. That's what people who are paying to come and see it know. It's got over 18s only all over the place, along with lots of references to what sort of things that happen. So we decided that person just came to see the wrong show, so they should have stayed home and watched Orange Is the New Black on Netflix.
We are not sponsored by that show. Other Netflix shows are available.
Actually, I've been talking to the team for a few weeks now, working on this. But how about, so I know Hypnotist never reveals their tricks, but for anybody that is interested in hypnotizing anyone, we'll say, do you have any beginner tips or any advice?
So buy a pocket watch. No. So, I mean, it's a really cool thing that anybody can learn to do. Like it's not, loads of people say to me, oh, when did you first find out you could hypnotize people? I was like, when I learned to do it.
When I turned 14.
When did you first find out you can drive a car? So I learned to do it. So anyone can learn to do it. And it's a really fun thing to do. Basically, a natural state of mind that everybody puts themselves into at least twice a day. Once when you wake up and once when you go to bed on nighttime, you go through a state of hypnosis as you wake up and fall asleep. So everyone goes through it every single day. And the other cool thing about it is that I actually see it less as my ability to hypnotize people, and it's much more about their ability to be hypnotized. So when I actually go on stage and perform, I get a bunch of people out of the audience and I walk them through like a framework, like a thing, a system that they need to do, things they need to visualize, things they need to think about, kind of like when you listen to a meditation program, which obviously lots of entrepreneurs and marketers do. Mm-hmm. The same thing. And all I'm doing is I'm guiding their mind down into that state. So actually, the first thing I think that most hypnotists have tried to hide or not really talk about is it's actually less about their ability to control people. It's actually much more about my ability to help you get into that state of mind, which I think is really important.
Wow. And do you think you can do it over a remote interview form? Because we might have to do a second interview with you hypnotizing me and everyone can enjoy.
It has been done. I've never actually done it, but there are hypnotherapists who treat clients on the other side of the world.
No way.
Over Skype or Zoom or whatever. Yeah, really powerful.
Oh my God, that's amazing. All right. And how about you, Kennedy? So let's get into mind reading for a little bit. And for this section, I'm not going to ask any questions because you already know they're coming. So you can just answer them.
Yeah, well, the first answer is chicken, and I think the second answer is you should never do that again, and your mum will not be very proud of you.
Oh, this is way too scary. But actually, I guess we'll make it easier for the listeners here. We know you got into mind reading to impress girls, and obviously now that we know you have a girlfriend, it clearly paid off. But what are your favorite parts of mind reading?
For me, the whole mind reading thing, I really enjoy that moment that you create mystery. Because in the world we live in right now, we can find the answer to any question we want by putting our hands in our pocket and dialing it into our phone. We can find out the capital of any city, which actor was in which movie, what movies are coming. We can literally find out anything we want. So I think this day and age, there's such a lack of any kind of mystery, which makes us genuinely think that actually feels almost like magical, but not in the sort of magic trick way, but in a sort of, wow, that's like really like amazing. I feel amazed. And that the idea that, when you see something like beautiful, like just earlier this year, I was in the Nevada desert, I was in the Grand Canyon. That was one of the most incredible things I've experienced in my life. Jaw-dropping, truly magical experience. When you fly in a helicopter over that ridge and it just all opens up in front of you. It's one of the most beautiful, breathtaking things. We were all having a good laugh in the helicopter beforehand, but as soon as that came into sight, I was recording it on my phone and there is silence. And often, for most of us, to experience that kind of wonder, to experience that kind of deep connection, we often have to go to these ridiculous, extravagant events that give us that experience. Another experience like that might be when we have a child or when we have something magical happen to us in our lives. And the fact that I can confront people on a weekly basis with that feeling of, oh my God, like, this is so incredible. This is amazing. There is potential within all of us as humans to be able to understand people on a deeper level or to be able to interpret information. So for me, that's what it's really about. And one of the things I think it's really interesting about it is challenging people's beliefs, because we like to all think we all kind of know stuff. We like to believe that we understand, like, if I open that door, the consequence of me opening that door is going to be this. If I pour myself this drink, the consequence of pouring that drink will be that. We kind of know what that's going to be. We kind of believe that we understand everything. Whereas if I can confront people with something they truly cannot comprehend, you don't understand, that's really interesting to me. And the creativity of creating those mysteries, which are relevant to people, they speak really deeply to things you take for granted and turn them on their head, is really interesting. I did a TV show quite a few years ago for the BBC, and they asked me what my opinion on psychics was. And I said, well, my opinion on psychics is quite simply, I've never seen anybody who claims to be psychic who is doing anything that I can't fake and duplicate and replicate using my skill set. And that's right. That's not at all to say that they're not using a different skill set to do the same thing, but I can certainly fake those things using my skills. So they asked me to demonstrate this. And so we did a lot of interviews, and then I took to the streets, and they filmed me wandering around the streets, talking to people and telling them about, and basically posing as a psychic. I would tell them certain things about. I walk over to this lady and I said, "You're thinking of. I want you to think of somebody who's passed away," and she did. And I said, "What's this connection I've got with these dogs, these puppies?" And she burst into tears. There's a great video clip of it. I've got it somewhere. Of this woman just deeply shocked. And then I went on to proceeded then to tell her friend's name and how she worked with this woman. And the interview afterwards that she did to camera was like, how could he possibly know about this thing where this associate, this work colleague of this woman came to work one day with a cardboard box, which had been left outside of her farmhouse door with three puppies in it. And she had no idea how I knew this information. And then at the end of the interview, I said to her, look, I'm not psychic, but I can figure out certain things about you. And that's what the whole show was about, that you can just be intuitive. Right. And that intuition is usually to do with deduction and figuring certain things out about people. It's not necessarily that I'm speaking to a higher power or I'm connecting with your psyche or anything like that. So bringing that wonder and confronting people's beliefs, I think, is really, really interesting.
Oh, it definitely is. And do you have any tips for learning how to read people's minds? Because I feel like this will greatly help me in future podcast interviews.
It will. So I think one of the big things about reading people in their minds is to figure out so there's a really interesting technique I came up with called the Miss Marple technique. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen or read the books Miss Marple by Agatha Christie. But when Miss Marple's conducting it's a murder mystery novel and character, and she when she meets somebody, she instantly weighs them up by figuring out who it is they remind her of. So, for example, if I met you and I think, okay, we've just met Max, but you sort of remind me of my friend Tim. Tim's from Taunton, Massachusetts. What do I know about Tim? Okay, so I can probably make some assumptions. And it's incredible how many similarities you will have with those people. So, and what the other great thing about that is, a great piece of reading people is actually building rapport and building relationships with them. So now if I talk to you the way that I would talk to my friend Tim, there is this unwritten, this sort of nonverbal communication, which allows us to both feel like we've known each other for a lot longer, we've built a deeper trust, and our relationship can move much faster. So talking to people as if they're a particular specific friend of yours allows you to move those relationships on much quicker.
Wow. How did you know my name is Tim and I'm actually from Massachusetts? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. But no, that's very helpful, and you can just feel how passionate you guys are about the things you do. So that's amazing. I want to talk about creativity for a little bit, because creativity comes up so much. It comes up so often, and as marketers, we need to continually be creative to sort of disrupt and stand out in this ever so cluttered world. What are the things that you guys do outside of your professional lives to stay creative? What sort of hobbies do you guys do?
Yeah, so I mean, one of my things is I write a lot. So I write Rob's Hypnotist show. I write my own material for my stuff. And one of the things I think the enemy of creativity really is too much choice. So I do a lot of research, a lot of reading on creativity. And one of the things that you really have to do is you have to box yourself in and set some really strict, tight conditions. So today, I want to come up with a brand new campaign to sell my new headphones that are going to go in my e-commerce store. Making all this up, by the way, I don't sell e-commerce. And I do have I don't sell headphones.
You're the next Amazon.
Right? So I need to come up with an angle to sell these headphones. I've already talked about how the beautiful sound's coming out of it and how it's linked by Bluetooth. I've done all the features and the benefits of those features. I've done that. Okay, so how can I lock in my creativity? All right, well, what's happening in the news? What's topical right now? And by locking onto one specific and locking yourself into a little box, that's when you get creative. So, for example, in my shows, let's take that as an example, there's only so many ways you can read someone's mind. Like you have somebody think of something and you later tell them what that thing is. I mean, that's what my show is, but it's 45 minutes of doing that. But if it was just me going, think of something, was it a kebab? Yes. Think of something.
How did you know?
Yes.
I think
that's a terrible show.
Yeah. I think it's a really understandable parallel. If you think about card magicians, if somebody picks a card, put it back in the deck, you shuffle the cards and the magician finds it. That's the same trick, but there's probably a million different routes to get there. So like,
right.
You have to do is you have to figure out, okay, what I call it the alien element. What's the alien element, the additional thing you're going to put into the mix that's going to make this unique? So it might be that I'm going to do this mind reading thing, but I'm going to do it with a book. So they're not just thinking of any word, they're thinking of a word from a book. Which book could it be? What's an interesting book? Well, I really like Startup CEO because we're going to do lots of business events. Okay, it's Startup CEO. What's that about? I'm also going to add another alien element in, and that is I'm going to have a bucket on my head. Why have I got a bucket on my head? I don't know. And now the creative process starts because I'm adding in alien elements. So this kind of speaks to a little bit about something we've been speaking about a lot in the office, which is there's a lot of people talking about funnel hacking. They're talking about going around and just looking at what's working for other people. And that's okay. Like, that's pretty good because you can see it's working for them.
It certainly has a place as a springboard.
It definitely does. But you've got to remember it is a springboard. They have their way of doing it, but you've got to add in your own alien element. So just by copying what somebody else does, one, you're going to blend in. And secondly, you're not bringing any part of you to it. And that's a really, really important bit. There's got to be a piece of you in your marketing. There's got to be something that speaks to the audience about you. So the part of me that I bring to my routines or to my marketing, whatever. So for example, to ResponseSuite, okay, we have a really innovative, a world-leading survey platform specifically with marketing features for marketers who want to grow their businesses. That's what we have. But why the hell am I here? Like, I'm a mind reader. I perform on stage. Like, why am I here? And Rob's shrugging his shoulders. He's got absolutely no idea why I'm here.
What do you do?
What I'm really good at is I'm really good at simplifying things and problem solving. That's what I'm really good at, really quick decision making. I'm also really good at, we're both really powerful at presenting live, being interviewed. Like, that's the thing we do. If we weren't, we wouldn't be talking on podcasts. We wouldn't have our own podcast. We wouldn't use those things. You have to bring the bits of you. Now, for you as a listener, you might not be a presenter. You might not be that person. That's cool. But you might be an amazing writer. I'm not a great writer. Use your superpower. What is your superpower? And use that as the way of growing your business in a way that nobody else can do it.
I think my big thing for creativity, so we're both massive theatre fans. So we go to see lots of musicals and lots of plays, and maybe that sits in line with the fact that we are also performers. But for me, so we go to the theatre a lot. And one of the things that I always do is I get really wrapped up in what I'm watching on stage at the time. And whilst what I might be watching...
That's shorthand for he cries a lot.
It does. What that means is...
Hey, me too.
We might be watching some big theatrical musical, right? And then I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to make people, cluck around the stage like chickens, to use the cliche. I don't actually do that, but we'll leave it there. And basically, what happens is I go and watch a theater show and I leave thinking, God, I want to do something that makes people feel the way that's made me feel. And that applies to everything you do. It applies to things I do in my show. So I realized, actually, I'd like to have quite a dark moment in my show. So we put in a thing where I stop somebody from breathing for a few seconds, and it's quite scary for the audience. Exactly. So I wanted to have that element in my show. And likewise, you can do the same with marketing and business as well. You can look at stuff that happens in the world around you and go, think, wow, that made me feel uplifted. How can I do something that makes people feel uplifted?
I mean, basically, the big thing we have is a lot of people, I think a lot of marketing is, and excuse the powerful word, is quite incestuous. Like, we're all just looking at what other marketers are doing in our marketplace. Get your head out of the marketplace. Go and see a movie. Go and see a play. Go to a business meeting with chief executives of Fortune 100 companies. Get out. Look at how TV commercials are done. Like, get out of what you're doing and you'll be able to bring something new and fresh. Because what you need is fresh stimulation. The reason most of us struggle to come up with a new campaign is because the only thing we can see are other people's campaigns.
One of the problems that this breeds, incidentally, talking about this funnel hacking thing, again, we think funnel hacking is a good thing, has a place, but it's definitely a springboard, is this. What happens is somebody sees somebody's landing page and they go, oh, wow, that looks good. And that guy's making $1 bajillion a day. That must be working. I'll do that. So they go into their funnel builder and they build a thing and it looks the same, but they put their content on it. And here's the thing. That's the equivalent, right, of saying, okay, great. So we've got Snickers and we've got a Mars bar. Okay, great. They're both chocolate bars. They're both in wrappers. Or we got a packet of M&Ms and a packet of Skittles. They're both little things inside sweets, inside packets. The sort of functionality is the same. But if you held that up and squinted really hard so you can barely see, so you can't read any of the writing, you would definitely know which one was the packet of M's, which one was the Skittles. You'd know which was the Snickers, which was the Mars bar. If you look at most people's landing pages and squint so you can't read the text, you wouldn't know what was what. For me, great branding stands out so that if you just glanced at it or you squinted, you know exactly what it says. So for me, if you look at your stuff and you can't really tell the difference if you were looking at it through a gauze or some sort of mesh or a net, you haven't been creative enough. You haven't added anything. You haven't brought in that element of creativity because it just looks the same as everybody else's. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And Rob, you mentioned you're a big theater buff. What is your favorite play of all time?
So my favorite thing is probably, it was the musical Les Miserables, which I've seen probably 14 or 15 times now, 14 times, I think.
Oh, that's it?
Relatively recently, in the last sort of 5 years, overtaken by Matilda the musical. Which is now my favorite.
It takes me back to my childhood with that movie and a lot of chocolate cake. All right, so let's get to a fan favorite section of the Wild Business Growth Podcast. This is the Wild Business Shout Out of the Week.
The Wild Business Shout Out of the Week!
Wow. That sounded lovely. I felt like I was walking into a Western just now.
Exactly. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. That's actually my full-time job. But Wild Business Shout Out of the Week. This is where we talk about a recent advertising and marketing campaign that we saw and caught our attention. So what do you guys want to focus on for your Wild Business Shout Out of the Week?
So we recently stumbled across a really great campaign being run by Todd Brown, who we've paid quite a lot of attention to recently, just in terms of watching what's going on secretly. And so basically, there's an abundance of these free plus shipping offers happening all over the internet right now. Everyone's got a free book, a free DVD, a free USB stick where you just pay the shipping and they'll send you it, and then they put you into a sequence of offers. And it actually got to the point where I know a couple of marketers who literally stopped doing it, like it was working really well, and it suddenly stopped working quite so well because everyone else was just doing it, and it just became the new trendy thing to do.
I have so many free books, I don't even have the time to read them.
Yeah.
Right. Who has the time?
Yeah. And actually, and this will speak to a bigger point in just a moment, but it actually got to a point where if I saw a free plus shipping offer advertised on Facebook or whatever, I would click it. I would pay the $20 or whatever it was to the shipping, which is an extortionate amount of money for shipping, but there you go. I know they have to.
Do you think they might have been covering the cost of the book?
Right. So I paid for it just to have the book on my shelf. And that means that actually I'm not their ideal customer. Like a lot of the time I was buying stuff. I've got one over there on the shelf that's to do with financial investments and stuff. I'm not really interested in that, but I just wanted to see what they were doing with the funnel. So I wasn't actually their ideal customer. So it sort of says quite a lot.
Hacking is absolutely screwing stats on those numbers.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to buy any of the upsells. I just wanted to see what was in the book.
Right.
that was that. So we recently came across Todd Brown's campaign for his book, which is called The Big Marketing Idea.
It's a great idea. I mean, basically, as soon as you click the ad, I saw the ad on, I think it was on Facebook or Insta or something like that, and you get a $7 instant download offer. Great idea.
Now let's stop and think about that for a moment. The only purpose that a free plus shipping offer serves is get somebody to take out their credit card details, put them into a form on your website, and commit to give you some money for something, even though what they're actually giving you it for is just to cover the cost of shipping it.
It's about a low resistance offer. So that's the first thing he's doing. He's just getting you to say, hey, I'm willing to make that journey over to my coat hanging in the corner of the room and get my credit card out and enter the details.
And that came about because marketers were saying, well, we can't just sell things to cold audiences on Facebook because they don't know who we are. They don't trust us yet. We can't possibly sell them anything. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll wrap it up as being a free thing they're just paying for the shipping for. And quite right. Just to be like quite crude about it, that's what actually happened. How do we get these people to put their credit cards in on our websites? That was kind of it. So obviously at some point, Todd or somebody has looked at it and gone, well, if somebody's going to pay $7 or $9 or $12 or $20 for the envelope that you're putting a thing in, like they'll pay it for the thing. And so that's quite nice right. to do a thing that achieves exactly the same purpose in actually a more honest way. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with free plus shipping offers. I have one, but in what I think is a nicer way, and then just cutting through the noise of everyone else who's doing a free plus shipping offer.
Yeah, when everyone else zigs, you should zag. So, but what the really interesting bit about, of course, there's nothing new about an ad that goes to a $7 thing. That's obviously been done a lot. What is really interesting is if you don't take the offer. You leave the page, you think, no, thank you. I don't want to spend $7 today. I've got Starbucks to go and get, and I can get half one for $7. So I'm going to go and do that. So I leave and I come back to Facebook, and then I see an ad that says, pay what you want. I'm like, what is that? So I click on it. It's an ad for the same book. And there I am able to enter how much I'd like to pay for the PDF download. And now I'm excited. I'm like, this is really interesting. So if I leave and I don't buy the $7 thing, I'm now retargeted using a Facebook pixel or whatever magic in the background into being able to pay whatever I want. But then something really interesting happens.
So what most people do is they've made that initial sale. So what comes next? Ask 1,000 marketers what comes next.
And Todd does this bit. He does this.
The answer is going to be the same. Sell them something else. And of course, there is a funnel of offers that go up in a standard way at price points ascending in the way you would expect. And there are emails to sell you other things. But there's a really interesting set of emails that are designed to get you to consume the thing the $7 thing you've just bought. That the smallest part of the funnel, the cheapest part of the funnel, just to get you to consume it. So look at this cool thing on page 14. Did you see that thing I did? It's on page 17. Go and have a look. You see that thing on page 49? That's really cool, and here's why.
So why is Todd doing this? Well, if you look at the psychology underpinning this, he's zigging while everybody else is zagging.
Quick disclaimer, we're guessing.
Yeah, this is
or you're reading their mind. Though.
Right, exactly. But what's happening is everybody else would now be focusing on sell us the next thing. Well, when we're zigging now, what we're going to do is actually decide to build a deeper relationship with each person who's on our list. Because we know, people who are on your list are also on the list of at least 7 to 15, maybe more other marketers, which means they have absolutely zero loyalty to you unless you can build the deepest relationship with that person. So what Todd's doing there by having this consumption sequence is he's asking you to consume the material you've purchased from him so you can see how great he is, how good his material is. And now because his material is taught in a way that's storytelling, it really positions him really fantastically as a very knowledgeable expert with lots of experience that he can share with you. You now turn into this fan of Todd and think, every time I receive an email from this guy, I'm opening his email.
You go from being the person who somebody bought a $7 product from, and, oh, that's that guy I bought that thing from and never looked at, to being that's that guy I bought that thing from and it was really good. Even if all they did was take a minute to look at that one thing you recommended they look at on page 14.
Even if they didn't then go and read it in the ebook. Because he told you in the email, I taught you this really cool thing, and you tease the hell out of that thing in that email, and it's on page 17. Even if I don't open the ebook, I know that on page 17, he taught that really cool thing, so it must be a really cool thing.
So people are unlikely to get buyer's remorse from a $7 ebook they never look at, but they probably will get buyer indifference. And that's a terrible thing. Whereas at least if you give them that nudge to remind them how good the thing was, you're selling it to them after the fact when they bought it. You're reminding them just how good it was and how great you are and why they should care. And that's so powerful.
So that's our big high five. That's our big shout out of the week.
Thank you. That's a really good example. Totally zigging when everyone else is zagging. And I'm sure the inspiration from all of this when Todd was figuring out what to do from a marketing standpoint was, let's get something going that's so remarkable that Rob and Kennedy have to talk about it on a podcast.
I mean, heck, he would be wild not to.
Speaking of wild, let's wrap up here with some rapid fire Q&A. You guys ready for it?
Do it.
Wow.
All right. All right, let's get wild. What is your biggest pet peeve?
So mine is, I'm not very good at dealing with things, with situations where plans change. If there's an appointment in my calendar, it cannot change because it just sets me completely out of sorts. It frustrates me, it confuses me, and sends me all to hell.
I think I get stuck on people who do things because that's how it's done. Right. So like I do that because that's how it's done. That's how we've always done it, and that's okay. So I think I was questioning. But if you just change that a little bit, it might be worse, but it could be better. In which case you go back, but it could be better. So yeah, people who do things because that's how it's done.
Right. Okay. If you were stranded on an island and can only bring one thing and it couldn't be your smartphone, what would you bring?
I would take a deck of cards. Because it's the one thing that has throughout my entire life from about the age of 6 been my like go-to thing. So like I used to sit in the classroom, as I said, my background before hypnosis was in magic. I would sit and play with a deck of cards in one hand and write with the other hand. And it grounded me. It kept me calm. It's a bit like a stress release thing, I suppose.
I think mine would be a notebook and pen. So that combination, I realize it's kind of two things, but that's what I do because I like to get my thoughts out and like share ideas and do growth through that. So mine would be a notebook and pen.
Cool. Shout out growth. All right. Now, Kennedy, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life and it had to be the same thing for every meal, what would that be?
That would be so easy. In America, you call them fries. In the UK, we call them chips. That is the easiest question.
How about you, Rob?
It's the wrong answer, though. Shepherd's pie. Every single day of my life.
Made out of real shepherds?
3 meals a day. I could eat shepherd's or cottage pie easily. Yeah.
Well, wait, are you guys British? I couldn't tell. Okay, and then...
Jolly hockey sticks. Come on, Mary Poppins.
All right, and then last question here. Kennedy, we'll start with you. Both of you have amazing hair, arguably the best hair in the world. But if you had to find somebody else that was your hair inspiration, you'd say that person has amazing hair that I want to achieve. Who would that be? It could be anyone in the world.
Ellen DeGeneres.
How about you, Rob?
One of the reasons I have red hair is that Mike from Linkin Park in one video, well, in a series of...
Oh, yeah, Mike Shinoda.
Mike Shinoda had bright red hair.
It wasn't Ronald McDonald.
That was part of my... It wasn't Ronald McDonald. That was part of my inspiration.
My actual inspiration was
Billy Idol.
Billy Idol. Yeah, I'd never heard of him. A friend of mine's mother, when I was young, showed me a picture of him and said, "You should do your hair like that." And I did, and then became a brand like Rob's did, and we're stuck with it now.
Well, you've idolized Billy Idol, so I think he's achieved his goals. But this has been a ton of fun. Thank you, guys. This has been a blast. I've learned a ton. I know our listeners will learn a ton. And now everyone's going to be running around trying to hypnotize and mind read. So that would be great. You really started an epidemic in America here and all over the world, I guess. But thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom and business expertise with us. What is the best way for people to connect with you, both individually and as well as with your business?
So actually, we'd love to hear from the listeners. If you've enjoyed what we have shared today, you can find us on social media. It's just at ResponseSuite. So send us a message or a tweet or whatever it is you want to do and tell us what you thought. We'd definitely love to hear that. Also, if you'd like to check out ResponseSuite and start using it in your business, we put together something really cool for you. If you head over to ResponseSuiteDeal.com, ResponseSuite, that's SUITE, ResponseSuiteDeal.com/wild.
Wow.
You'll be able to get not only a 14-day free trial of ResponseSuite to try it out, but we'll also include a free onboarding call with us to help make sure you can use it properly and get it going really well.
Although if that sounds like a nightmare, we're not going to hold you to it. If you'd rather not speak to us, that's fine too.
And we've also got a really cool training course called the Survey Marketing Masterclass, which was $499. It teaches you like 8 amazing campaigns that you can use ResponseSuite 4 to build surveys and to marketing bits of your business, but we'll give you that for free as well. You just head over to responsesuitedeal.com/wild. You'll be able to get the 14-day free trial and all of those lovely bonuses as well.
Awesome. ResponseSuiteDeal.com/wild. I love your wild noise, by the way. And last thing, the stage is yours. I know the stage is yours all the time, but now it's stage is yours in podcast form. What are your final thoughts? Each of you, just a little bit of wisdom. You could say whatever the hell you want to sign us off here.
I think it's time that we as entrepreneurs, marketers, business owners step back and do a sort of audit of the way that we do marketing. I think this is true for everybody, us included. I think everyone needs to step back and look at what we do and do this audit and say, why do we do it that way? Is that good? Is that giving our audience the best possible experience of interacting with our business and hearing from us? And a lot of the time, unfortunately, the answer will be no. Because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the business and we see our business from our perspective, but we know too much. We get to see everything that goes on and we never get to see it really from our prospects' perspectives. It's easy to assume that we are the best thing since sliced bread to them just because they've opted in for our free thing or they've registered for our webinar, and that's not true. So I think just take a moment to step back and actually realize we've got this big audience of people that you spent time and money and everything building. You need to give them the respect that they deserve by actually making sure that you tailor your marketing in a much more kind of strict way to make sure that you only ever put content in front of people that is relevant and interesting to them. That way they remain in your audience for longer. You have a more sustainable business with every subscriber you bring in, and you're able to make more sales to them as well. So if you can get paid more, make more sales, and leave a happier audience, that's better for everybody.
Thank you so much, Rob and Kennedy. You guys have successfully read my mind.
All right. Thank you so much, Robin Kennedy from ResponseSuite. That was absolutely wild. Big thanks to you wild listeners out there for tuning in to another edition of the Wild Business Growth Podcast presented by Hippo Direct. Make sure to take advantage of that special offer. It's a really, really cool deal that the guys at ResponseSuite put together. They've got some amazing things for you, so make sure to try it out at ResponseSuiteDeal.com/wild. If you're not subscribed to this podcast already, make sure to subscribe on your favorite audio platform. And we especially appreciate any 5-star written reviews on Apple Podcasts. Some call it iTunes, some call it Apple Podcasts, but you can find it on your phone if you're an iPhone user, or your computer if you use iTunes. Connect with us at Hippo Direct on social media for all sorts of helpful marketing and business growth content. You can also sign up for our weekly newsletter, the Hippo Digest, to get everything in one place and get a recap of creative marketing from around the world. That's at hippodirect.com/newsletter. We've now had a hypnotist and a mind reader on the podcast, so you really never know who we're going to have next. Stay tuned next week. And as always, let your business run wild. Bring on the bongos!